You are looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, which fell 84 points on Friday, or 0.56%, and closed at 15,011. The volume was above the average daily volume. You could see this between Christmas and New Year's week. The volume was extremely high. And it just looks like the institutions are supporting this market and they want in. This is, not short covering any longer. This rally's been going on too long. And anyway, I did a study of the Nasdaq from the last 2 weeks of December and the first 2 weeks of January, and this is abnormal volume here for this Christmas or holiday week in between Christmas and New Year's. You can see the volume here. This is last Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's week. Extremely light volume, and then it picks up as January moves along. It gets above average daily volume. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out, that heavy volume last week. It did, it had a good week. It was up last week for the 9th consecutive week. This is a weekly review. So I've got to show this, but it is, the power is, it's starting to trade a little sideways. It was up only 18 points or 0.12%. And like I showed you, the volume for a holiday week was extremely strong, but it just pulled back to its 10 on Friday. It's still trending nicely, but each correction starts with, a down day. When it pulled back to its 10 here in July and then started a nice correction. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's just you got to be mindful of it and watch it. I believe I'm super bullish and believe that 2024 is going to be a good year. But anyway, I'm going to get into that in a minute. I want to show you the Russell because I think this is a land of opportunity here. The Russell on the weekly has underperformed for a long, long time. And it hit that 1641 a couple of times, retested it and undercut it, and then now has really bounced sharply. So I like the small caps for 2024, and this is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which keeps making new highs. It didn't sell off as much as the other indexes and was only up like 12% last year. And heck, since I'm doing that, I might as well just show all of the indexes here for the year. That's the Dow Jones, was at 13.7%. The Nasdaq was up 43%. Very nice year for the Nasdaq. The Russell 2000, 15%. And the S&P 500 was 24.23%. And there you have it. Of course, I'm going to show you the stocks that were the big stars, the big winners, the NVIDIAs, and the Meta platforms had phenomenal years. So if you think NVIDIA is going to go up 238% again, I seriously doubt that's going to happen. But anything can happen in the stock market, and usually does. Anyway, I'm going to get to the charts here. Stocks, because I like stocks. I don't deal with the indexes. I don't buy the indexes per se. But anyway, this is Apple. And to me, these are setting up for moves higher. I'm going to show you a lot of 3 weeks tight patterns, and it could be perceived as an add-on buy point, or it could be perceived like, hey, the move has stalled and maybe we're going to reverse and go the other way. But for me, this is a nice consolidation of like 6 months. Sure, it could fail, it could slice its moving averages. A lot's going to depend on their earnings report on the 25th, but Apple's had some bad news recently and didn't sell off much. Anyway, Microsoft, pretty similar action here, except for this had like a 5 weeks tight pattern. It's been consolidating for a long time. What is this? 5 weeks? Yeah, that's like a flat base pattern. 5 weeks tight. I mean, that's just going sideways. We had traded this one from like 340 area up to the 380 and ditched it. And it's a good thing we did. Because it just hasn't been going anywhere. It's very frustrating for longs to sit in there as the Nasdaq is going up every week for 9 straight weeks. This thing's just going sideways. Anyway, Meta platforms, I mentioned that one has had a phenomenal year. Just made a new high last week as it broke out of this little consolidation area and keeps making new highs. So Meta looks really good. Amazon, to me, this is this is why I'm kind of bullish on the market. These things are still setting up in bases. Now, Amazon tried to push out and then pulled back here, but this consolidation looks good to me. Google, same thing. I admit these can all fail and the market could certainly go down, but they've consolidated for a while. They're set up in bases, and they look to me like they're going to move higher. But like I said, you got to wait for the earnings here. Google's going to report on February 1st, so it's not that far away that all these companies are going to report. I showed you Amazon, Meta, Alphabet. Oh yeah, Tesla is one of the Mag 7s. Tesla looked like it was going to move higher and then just shook people out the last couple of sessions. It's got that double bottom pattern. So to me, that's still looks like a pretty productive double bottom chart pattern there for Tesla and NVIDIA. Semiconductors, I like semiconductors, retail, and drug stocks, and the small caps, which I'm going to get into here in a minute. Anyway, NVIDIA, double bottom pattern here, just kind of, this looks like it might be 3 weeks tight too. Yeah, 3 weeks tight on NVIDIA. I'm going to show you a lot of charts like that today. And like I said, they had a big move and now it's just kind of flattening out. So, the bears will say, it's stalling out, it's dying, it can't go any higher. And the bulls will say, well, it's just had digesting gains, and that's an add-on area. 3 weeks tight is typically an add-on buy point in an uptrend. So if you believe like me that we're in a new uptrend here and that artificial intelligence is the theme, this is as Dan Ives at Wedbush calls Jensen Huang the godfather of artificial intelligence. And NVIDIA is his company. So we'll have to wait and see. It was up 232% last year, which is a phenomenal move. Recently, though, AMD, this is my largest holding here. This one is outperforming NVIDIA. I bought it as it broke above this little downtrend area here. This one put it on my radar here. We had it at MC Stock Charts on our watch list, but I didn't buy it until the day that Lisa Su, December 6th, or I think that was the day that she announced a new product. New is in and can slim, and the stock sold off on this, phenomenal new product. And then the next day it started rallying and ramping. So we got in here about 117 on that date, December 6th, and just an easy hold, just trending. It pulled back to its 10-1 time. So AMD looks good. No 3 weeks tight there. Broadcom, that is a 3 weeks tight, I believe. Yeah, just made this big move and now flattening out. Even almost looks like a short stroke pattern there on that. Yeah, it goes up 20% and gives back less than 1%. So that looks good. Broadcom, AMD, Broadcom, NVIDIA. If the semiconductors are going to lead in 2024, those big kahunas have to be drivers of the SOX-L, SOX long, or SMH, however you want to play that sector. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the software names because I like the software and the semiconductors and some retail and drugs, which I talked about. But ServiceNow, this had a 4 weeks tight pattern. And finally, I think it was on Friday, had a little move as the Nasdaq was giving some back. ServiceNow was up 0.5%. And anyway, starting to move out. Yeah, last week was up 1.28%. This is a big company. Anyway, I like ServiceNow. It's trending above its moving averages, so you can see the consolidation and the breakout. So we'll see if those other stocks can do that as well. Salesforce I like not as much, but Datadog is another one that I do like. We have it on our ready list in MC stock charts. You can see the big consolidation here. Cup with handle, classic, and now it's got a 3 weeks tight, which, typically that would be an add-on area, but we're just gonna have to wait and see for Datadog. But it looks good. I like Datadog. I might even be interested in buying that one if the market cooperates in January. The next one I want to show is MNDY. This is one of the stocks that I'm going to have on my IPO video that I'm going to put out. They IPO'd in June of 21, went straight up, and then of course the market and everything else in 2022 just crashed and burned. And this thing was down from 450 to like, I don't know what it go down to, 80, even less than that, 70. Anyway, this one is setting up in a base. I would consider this like a base on base pattern. It didn't really, move out and do another, like 20% move. It just kind of went from 171 here and now was what, 187. But this one had 3 weeks tight, and now has had another 3 weeks tight pattern. Let's see what that looks like on the daily. Yeah, there's your 3 weeks tight. Then it came up a little bit, now another 3 weeks tight. So this one is tight. MNDY, another one that I might consider buying. It's been on our watch list for a while. Snowflake, this is another one I believe is 3 weeks tight. Yeah, you can see this consolidation here, nice cup, and then now it's just trading tight on the weekly. I like this big move, then pull back quietly in lighter volume. You can see that here. So that's another software name that I might be interested in buying. So there's plenty of merchandise out there that looks pretty good right now. Oh, I have to mention MSTR, because if you're in Bitcoin, if you're into Bitcoin, you know that you can't, no mistaking the move in this one for 2023. This one had a monster year. It was up 346% for the year. So MicroStrategy, they just announced they bought more like 600 million of Bitcoin. But anyway, I was down Friday, but had a phenomenal week. This is a weekly review, so I've got to show the week. It was up 2%, and you could see that was trading tight and ended up moved higher. So MicroStrategy, congrats to the longs there. That looks like, you know, phenomenal year for MicroStrategy. All right, I'm going to move on to the cybersecurity stocks, which again, I think will do well in 2024. Of course, they did well. This is a weekly review. I've got to show you that big bear market sell-off with Zscaler. This is one that I can't have in my IPO because it's too large of a market cap. But you can see this one just in an IPO, and this was a skyrocket, and then sold off with the higher interest rates as the Fed raised rates. This one sold off, consolidated in a stage one base, and now recently moved out. And this one's 3 weeks tight as well. Seems like all these stocks are 3 weeks tight. On Friday, pulled back to its 10 EMA. So, you know, it's trading above its 10 EMA. And this is one that I own. This is one that I like. Also, CrowdStrike, another one that I like. Gosh, is this one 3 weeks tight too? It looks like it. I guess in spirit, you could call that 3 weeks tight. Had a big move out of this base here. We got it around 160 and went up to 260. I had to trim a little bit, but still holding one of my largest holdings here. And I like CrowdStrike. I know it's richly valued, a lot of growth priced in here on these stocks, but I believe they'll deliver, you know, another 6-8 quarters of strong sales and earnings growth. They better with the way this one's valued. Palo Alto Networks, another one that I like. This one pulled back to its 21, so it's a little weaker than the other two, and trading tight, but I think they made a purchase, or they closed the purchase of another company, and that always, you know, typically, you know, the acquirer gets sold off a little bit. But Palo Alto still looks good to me. CyberArk software. This one is broken out and ripping higher. This one's no 3 weeks tight here. It pulled back to its 10. One time there in this little shelf-like pattern, and then ripped higher. That one looks good. And Okta is another one. You got to look at the weekly charts here. This is just a mess of consolidation, a long time. Maybe it'll start to break out here. We'll have to wait and see. But Okta looks okay to me there, if it can manage to break out of this pattern. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm going to the elf on the shelf. And this is one that I like. This is another one of my larger holdings. I had it on our ready list back around 110, 112 here, at 120, 130, and now 139.85 is your standard buy point. And it's just trading flat. Now, is this a 3 weeks tight as well? My gosh, it is. But you could see it had this nice consolidation, huge run up, couple 3 weeks tights along the way, and now it's consolidated again and formed a 3 weeks tight. So if it runs higher, it'll be bullish. If it sells off, it'll be bearish. You just got to wait and see. But typically, that's a good area to add. I'll just say that. But if the market has to cooperate in January, Lululemon, my gosh, is this 3 weeks tight too? It looks like it, but it's not. Now, Nike sold off with their sloppy earnings report, but Lulu didn't. It just kept going higher. You could see the breakout here, and then just the move higher. It's been up with the index like, what, 9 weeks in a row. And you can see the, you know, the moving average is just, once that broke out, it's just minding its 10 right there. moving average is trending higher. As long as that green line's going higher and it stays above the green line, you're in the chips. So Deckers is another one that sold off with the Nike earnings. Now this one sliced as 20, so I'm a little more concerned about Deckers. Maybe it'll form a base, but that looks like pretty climactic action there for Deckers. Yeah, the breakout, man, that thing just went straight up. So you could see how it moved, its trajectory. It's kind of like a tame stock. And then it pulled back and then just went straight up. So that's a little climactic. So maybe it'll just form another base, but it's definitely one to watch. Wow, down 650 after hours, huh? Anyway, that's it for my retail. I don't want to spend too much time here on my weekly review. I got to do the drugs though. NVO, I believe they're going to have another strong year in 2024. They're going to have their drug for heart disease right now. It's for weight loss. And I know people say, oh, just go to the gym and work out and eat right. But people don't do that. They'd rather, use the Novo Nordisk drugs and lose weight, be it, right or wrong. But these guys are, they have a lot of sales. They have a lot of earnings, and they're expanding their manufacturing plants or buying plants and building plants. And I believe they're going to have a strong year and for years to come as well. Their patent is for like 10 years. So, and they have more drugs in the pipeline. Same with Eli Lilly. This is your largest of the drug stocks. It's got a massive market cap, 550 billion. And you can see like Novo, it's just in this little flat base consolidation period. They had big moves. They both had real big moves in 2023. So they're just consolidating gains. And if you own Lilly, I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. It is below the 50, but they're going to have a good year in 2024. And their patent for their drugs is, they have a lot of drugs, but their weight loss drug has got, a long time before it falls off the cliff, the patent cliff. CYTK, this one had a approval last week, and this is why I like to, shop in the biotech land. Yeah, I know they implode more often than they explode, but this one exploded at 82%. That's a nice move, and then traded higher. Now, once you get approved like that, then there's speculation that, somebody will buy them out. I don't know if they will or not, but the one that I entered in old Cubby Bears, this is every year I go biotech because they either bomb or they hit grand slams. But this is Viking Therapeutics, and this one pulled back to its 10 on Friday. They have a couple drugs in the pipeline. They're going to have NDA here in the first half of 2024. And if they get approved, this thing's going to go a lot higher. And that will be a buyout. It is a buyout candidate. So I don't buy stocks just for buyout candidates. If they get their drug approved, this one's going much higher. It's a weight loss drug. Anyway, that's it for me, except for I lied. I have one more thing. I just want to show you some of these stocks that are what I consider junk stocks, the dash for trash in 2024. So in honor of the great Steve Jobs, one more thing. Let's take a look at some of these junky stocks that had phenomenal years in 2023. We can't expect this in 2024, but Carvana was up more than 1,000%. AAOI, Applied Optoelectronics, was up 922%. And these are nice moves. I don't doubt anybody bought them and held them all year, but they're nice gains, right? Which is the one that just took off the other day. Mara was up just a cool 586% last year. And of course, Affirm, which is much talked about, buy now, pay later, was up 408% in 2023. Thank you for watching. We should all do our post analysis, and rate our stocks every week, but oftentimes we don't do that. But at my side, I have a checklist for you to do your post analysis of your trades. Typically, most trades we're chasing performance. We buy too high, get shaken out on pullbacks, or you set your stops, too close to the price, and you get shaken out and don't buy it back when it pulls back and rips higher. Anyway, that's it for me. Have a happy new year. Thank you for watching. at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up.